Hi, I'm Frank Spadone. You're watching Jake Out Loud.
Talking about drive-ins, outdoor shows, drive-in shows. We were talking earlier. Tell me your experience with an outdoor show as opposed to an indoor show, like the intimacy of a club. I mean,
Yeah.
because music works outside. How well
right.
does this translate?
Yeah, music's different. It's loud. You can get lost in the music. You're playing drums. You're kind of interacting with the guitarist. You're kind of a unit together. You're concentrating on that. Comedy, you're up there by yourself, and you need attention.
Yeah.
You need people's attention. Like, there could be a concert going on, and if you're in a drive-in, I mean, someone could be making out with their girlfriend or boyfriend in the car, but they're still enjoying the music.
Yeah.
There's a reason why comedy's worked all these years in these nice, intimate venues. With a spotlight on you and lights, and it's a dark place because the focus should be on the stage.
Exactly.
What's great about what we're doing tonight is that they're there for the comedy. So
That's right.
So the intent is to come watch comedy. So that's half the battle. The only variable or the you got to worry is, like, people are in their cars, so you can't jam people closer.
You can't feel the vibe.
You can't feel the vibe. You can't hear the laughter as well. They could be laughing and you won't hear it. There's no roof. Sound kind of just travels away. Yeah. And I've done these festivals.
Tell me about the ones you talked about earlier. The wave thing.
Oh, yeah, that's
Toronto.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was my first experience in an open venue, and it caught me off guard. I did Kingswood Music Theater.
Right.
I opened for a very popular Italian singer, Umberto Tozzi, who wrote Gloria. So Laura Branigan covered his song. And they asked me to open for him. They thought, hey, it'd be cool. I was just up and coming. Here's Frank, Italian guy, relates to the Italians. And I remember doing my first couple jokes, and I could see the people in the front laughing, and I could hear it because they were right there.
Yeah.
And then they stopped laughing, so I assumed everyone else stopped, which I think they did. But because it was a 9,000 seat theater, outdoor amphitheater, as I was going to start the next joke, this wave of laughter hit me again. So it took time. I guess sound travels slower than light, and it took time for the laughter to hit me, and I had to stop. And I'm like, oh, there's a rhythm to this. It's this wave that comes in. So you're up against that. You got to know when to kind of pause, and
so your time changes all your timing.
And comedy's timing,
it's all
right?
about, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it changes the timing. But at least being an amphitheater, I eventually heard the laughter, and it was people sitting in rows, and they were there. With cars, and they're separate. Some people are in their cars.
Some are sitting in the
hood
or whatever. Yeah,
you're allowed to be outside, but it's like this. Sound travels, and it's. I'm telling you, it's great. It's going to be a great experience because
it will. It doesn't make you complicit to what you were doing before.
Yeah.
You're spreading your wings here.
That's
keeps you on your toes, right?
We're trying. People need entertainment. We need to get out there. So it's going to be interesting.
All around.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be something to talk about when I'm on late night with whoever's hosting it.
Yeah, yesterday I was listening to a radio show, and I'm going to attribute this Terry O'Reilly, Under the Influence, if you ever listen on CBC, and love that show. And he was talking about Steve Martin and stand-up comedy. The show opened with that. And back in the late 70s, Steve Martin was the first comic to do arenas and stadiums. He was doing shows to over 40,000 people, the first comic to break that barrier.
That's amazing.
The problem was, the critics were saying, he looks like an ant on a stage.
Yeah.
There was no projection back then, right? There were no big screens projected.
So he's like tiny.
He's like this. So he came up with an idea. How do I solve this problem, right? Hence the white suit. That way they could see this
him.
little white suit
It's
guy.
funny you say that, because tonight on stage, and I know it's dark and you're outside, and I've done some festivals like pizza festivals where it's like a pizza. It's like Rib Fest, but you got a band, and there are a couple of bands, and then we've had different. And I go out and MC, and I always try to wear if I'm going to tell a couple of jokes and I need the attention, I try to wear something light because you're in the dark. There are lights, but you seem brighter. That's for sure. But it's facial expressions too. You know, you got some comics that they rely on
everything on their face.
Facial
Greg
expression.
Morton.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's great. And that's the tough thing. But what's great about, I know tonight there's a big screen.
I was just about to ask you. They're going to have a screen.
Yeah, it's
That's
great.
going to help.
You definitely see facial expression, and the sound is great. I wish the audience was mic'd. That's that might.
They could really.
That would be the next thing.
Condenser mics throughout. You know,
a few anyway. The first few rows, just
and have a little monitor so you can hear it.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing.
It can be done.
Hey, look, that's a great point. You said monitors. When we do shows in big theaters, there's monitors for our own voice because we can't hear.
That's right.
Because it goes out. Now imagine a crowd outside. If we can't hear our own voice on stage, how do we hear the audience in an outdoor setting? So
that's right.
That's a great.
You can mic it. It's not a hard thing to do, really.
That's another. Or we do like what the sporting events are doing now, like baseball. When someone hits a home run, they put the fake cheering.
Yeah.
We need a laugh track for outdoor shows now. It's crazy.
God. That's true, eh? We'll talk about you being an actor later.
Yeah,
some of
it'll be short.
It'll be okay. We'll leave it to the end then. No, before you got into comedy, you did photography.
Yeah.
First question: Canon or Nikon?
Canon.
Okay, thank you. Me too.
You know what? It's weird because I actually have a Nikon right now.
Yeah.
Because it was the best sort of mid-range when I was
they're
looking
both good
for.
Cameras,
they're
right?
both great, but if you ask me, I'm a Canon guy. I love Canon. The zoom lenses are so quick.
Oh yeah.
The lenses are amazing. Nikon's great too, but if Nikon wants to sponsor me and send me a bunch of equipment, I won't be opposed to that.
Do you still do photography?
You know, a little when it's everything's on phones now. That's the crazy thing. But
some of them are good.
Some of them are really
they
good.
Still won't match a DSLR yet.
No, and you can't. You know what's great about cameras is you can play with the shutter speeds and you can play with the aperture, so you can blur out the background.
That's right.
And anyone who went to like me that's done photography understands.
So have I.
And you've done it, right? So if I want this bottle to look nice and I don't want it's a nice background, but I want to blur it out.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, phones are starting to do that, blurring out backgrounds and things. So the phones are getting there, but there's still something about composing with the lens. My son started go-karting, and I brought the big lens out, and it was it brought me back. It was great. It was great.
Did you like it? What kind of photography were you doing before you got into comedy?
And it was funny because when I told my dad I wasn't going to university anymore because I figured out I wanted to do photography. You think he'd be happy, like, hey, he picked something he likes to do. He's like, you gotta stay. How am I gonna brag about you being in university? And my one kid's in university, but. He thought I was going to shoot weddings, which that's not what I wanted to do.
I've done that.
Yeah,
that can be a horror story and a grind.
I think at first it's great and you get to meet great people, but it becomes that repetitive thing. I got into commercial. I was shooting with great guys like Dan Lim and Robert Lear and Shin Shigino in Toronto, Andreas Trossmandorf, food, clothing. We used to shoot Tip Top Tailors back in the day.
Oh, jeez.
So I was an assistant for a while, and that's the ironic, weird thing is that's how I got into comedy. Was I kept getting hired because I knew my stuff. I knew how to light things, and I was good at that. And I was a big guy, so I could carry all the bags. But then I started, even the art directors were like, Frank, we're so glad you can make it on this trip because we requested you. Like, we wanted to, because you're fun. You're fun to be with. We'd be shooting in Jamaica or Bahamas for the Bay and stuff, and David's Bridal in the States, and with Tip Top Tailors, Dan Ellsbury, model, and Patrick Johnson, and great guys, and I still remember them, even Ricardo, and they would be like, why don't you do stand-up? Like, you've got funny stories. I'm like, he's going to want to hear about me and my mom and dad. It's no one cares about me. Like, no, man, we got friends in New York, and they're comics, and your stories are like, they're real, and they're funny.
Yeah. So
I met another art director from in Toronto when we were shooting, Scott McMahon, actually, and he lives in Ottawa now. He said, I heard you're pretty funny. Why don't you call the Laugh Resort? And he gave me the number, and he was great. He showed up, helped, kind of was there, like pat me on the back, and I had a great first night. I didn't know what I did.
Yeah.
I was nervous as I got up. I heard a couple of laughs in my brain. I was so nervous. The 5 minutes went by like this, amateur night. And he was like, "You were great." I'm like, "What do you mean? That I probably screwed up?" And he's like, "No, you got applause breaks." I'm like, "Wow, okay." So thank God it went great, because I think had it not gone well,
you would have dumped it right there.
we wouldn't be here right now,
Yeah,
because that's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah.
I got to taste the success, and I'll tell you, like when you get a crowd laughing,
Oh, there's nothing
there's
like
no better, and that's what we love. I know it does something to the ego for sure, but I just love making people feel good. Like you
Well,
do,
no, that's it, yeah.
you like you feel like a doctor
Yeah.
with like 100th of the pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
But no, it feels good that you're making them laugh and they're feeling good, and they
It's-
come up after and congratulate. And
It's a great feeling. It really is a gift when you can do it and it
Yeah.
works out.
not anybody can do it.
It's a tough thing. There's funny people. It might not work in stand up. They're still fun. You know how you meet people and they're hilarious, but I think the trick to stand up is you got to be a good story. You got to, when people say, like they tell you a story and like, you had to be there. Good comics bring you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Good
point.
comics
Yeah.
bring you there.
Absolutely.